Hey everyone, this is Jeff Miller. For the library assignment, I read Green Lantern Earth 1, Volume 1, written by Corna Becco and Gabriel Hardman, art by Gabriel Hardman, colors by Jordan Boyd, letters by Simon Bolin, cover by Gabriel Hardman and Jordan Boyd, published by DC Comics in March 2018. It's 144 pages and is an original graphic novel. Act 1 ends on about page 51, so Act 2 begins on about page 52. Act 2 ends at about page 110, and Act 3 begins at about page 111. I say about because there are no page numbers listed, so I had to count from the beginning for the first acts and count from the end for the later acts to try and give an accurate page number. And so I think with these page counts that it breaks it up very closely to our model, but not exactly. If you break it down, the first act is about 35% of the story, the second act is about 42% of the story, and Act 3 is about 23% of the story. This is Harold Jordan's story. His name is usually Hal Jordan, but it's not this time. For those unaware, like many comic publishers, DC Comics has a multiverse where different Earths are different universes with similarities and differences. The main continuity stories for DC takes place on Earth 0 or Prime Earth. This story takes place on Earth 1. So he wants to not go back to Earth. He also wants to learn how to use his ring. He eventually realizes that flying with his ring, being a Green Lantern, is what he's always wanted. And I think the conflict does support that. The story does have a solid arc. I believe the resolution is satisfactory. Howard has learned how to use his ring. He brought the Lanterns back together. They've retaken Oa. He's made some personal growth along the way. And the story ends on enough of a cliffhanger that leaves me wanting a second volume. Several characters have character arcs from our protagonist to minor characters. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but I'm going to try. Veka Trana is a minor character who inherited his Green Lantern ring from his partner after he passed away. He began as a character telling Howard Jordan and Kilowog that their plan was impossible and he hid his ring from them. But by the end of the story, he's come to Oa to aid in the fight with the Manhunters and he dies during that fight. He tells Howard that he and everyone else came to Oa because someone finally stood up. The biggest character arc, of course, though, is Howard Jordan's. He starts out as a space miner who never wants to go back to Earth, and he's running from his past. Throughout the story, he runs away when it's clear that he won't win, but in the end, he truly becomes a hero. He sends out his distress call to all the Lanterns and returns to the fight without knowing if they'll join him. After their victory, he returns to Earth and wants to start the work to fix the problems on Earth that he unintentionally helped create. There are effective transitions. Panels turn to black when Howard is knocked out. Captions indicate the transitions as well. Captions never reveal when we are, but the art and story clearly show us in an alternate contemporary universe. I noticed the use of transitions discussed by Scott McCloud. For example, I noticed the gutter in my imagination transforming images into a single idea, like when Howard Jordan is being swarmed by the Manhunters in the third act after his distress signal. In one panel, we see a wide shot of them all barraging the shield created from his ring, and then in the next panel, we see a close-up of him from the torso up, but I combined these images into a medium shot in my mind too, so I could see his whole body, but still close up. I believe the most effective example of the page as a mini-comic idea takes place during Jordan's flashbacks. In a page, we see a mini-comic of how Jordan unintentionally helped Monarca Energy fire missiles on their own people. This graphic novel also used directional flow throughout it. A great example is after the Manhunters kill the woman who stole Howard's ring, he recovers it and then they pursue him as he attempts to escape. I would definitely recommend this graphic novel to my classmates that would want to see how to create a new but familiar story based off of existing source material. I would also recommend this to classmates and friends alike if they're a fan of Green Lantern for a similar reason. It's just a fun journey witnessing a familiar story told in a contemporary setting. So in Act 1, instead of it being Hal Jordan, who is a regular pilot for airplanes, we see Howard Jordan. He's in space searching for ore deposits, and he used to work for NASA. They find a manhunter and an alien that kind of looks like Abin Sur, but he's never named. One guy tries to put the ring on and charge it, and it fights him. Jordan puts it on and he gets the powers, but the manhunter activates. His crew won't let him back on his ship because he could have radiation because he is glowing green because of the ring. The manhunter ends up attacking Jordan, but he defeats it. And then it transitions to Bolovax Vic, where Kilowog has saved Jordan. He had to hide him, though, because outsiders aren't allowed. Kilowog asks Jordan to show him how to be a Green Lantern. There's only rumors of the Corps existing, and Jordan says that he can't help him to be a Green Lantern because he's new to this. He doesn't know anything. He just barely found the ring. Kilowog says that has to be impossible because he defeated a Manhunter. Only a skilled Green Lantern could defeat a Manhunter. We find out that the Manhunters rose up and they killed the Green Lantern Corps. The rings were scattered throughout the universe, and they've left Kilowog's planet alone. It also looks like that there is no oath, just the battery. Jordan asks Kilowog to teach him how to use it. So in Act 2, Kilowog teaches Jordan that he needs to concentrate when he uses the ring. The Home Guard is a military-type organization on Kilowog's planet, and they find out that Howard is flying with Kilowog. They approach them and they try to stop them from using their rings and restrain Howard Jordan when the Manhunters have finally arrived on the planet and they attack. Jordan saves Kilowog, and Kilowog gets upset because they fled his planet, and he leaves to try and go back to his planet and keep fighting. Howard Jordan, however, begins to investigate the planet that they crash landed on, Penelo. It was the planet of Penelops, a previous Green Lantern. They decide that they should search for more lanterns to try and defeat the Manhunters. Kilowog reveals the central battery on Oa may have been destroyed. Jordan questions, what if a bad person finds a ring and uses it? It feels like this is foreshadowing that they will face someone later who is a person like this. Aracia traps them and asks who they are. She releases them but refuses Jordan's call to join them. On Moab Gira, we discover Vika Trana. He lost his partner who had a ring 20 cycles ago. He reveals the Owens were the Guardians. They created the Manhunters to destroy the Green Lantern Corps, and that's exactly what they did. He says that the weakened rings could never defeat the Manhunters no matter how many gathered together. Jordan and Kilowog leave, but we find out that Vecca did have a ring the whole time. It was hinted at in a flashback, but we discover Howard's reason for not wanting to return to Earth is he's running away because he unintentionally helped the company fire missiles on their own people. As we continue in Act 2, the ring's battery have been depleted and their translator has stopped working because of this. This is emphasized by Kilowog's words changing to his native language and being bolded in the speech bubble. The Stampede rushes against Jordan. They're running from Manhunters that are now on this planet too. One hits Howard and knocks him out cold. He awakens on a foreign planet with no power in his ring and no translator. He's given a pickaxe for slave labor from the Manhunters. He realizes he's wearing his Green Lantern ring and slips it off. A Manhunter then shocks him. Speech bubbles and alien languages populate the next few pages, which helps the reader also be thrown into a situation where we don't understand what they're saying either, just like our protagonists. However, his ring suddenly does get a charge and it begins translating in the middle of somebody else's sentence. He uses most of the power in his ring, though, to defeat someone who is trying to bully him. There was an alien that saved his pickaxe from falling earlier, and she ends up saving him because of his ring once he used it, so the Manhunters did not notice him. They find out that they need to get to the surface because the big dome is what charged his ring. They end up having to wait out an acid rainstorm, and she wants to leave as soon as possible, but he wants to save more people. She argues that they aren't worth it and they wouldn't do things differently. She ends up stealing his ring and running away, and he has to chase after her. He asks her for his ring back, but she refuses and says she's worthier. She accidentally makes a blast, which alerts manhunters who arrive and kill her. He then takes the ring from her dead fingers. He tries to escape, but the manhunters are in pursuit. He blasts the dome and escapes. Starting with Act 3, Harold has discovered that the central battery is not destroyed. It is hidden inside the containment dome. Jordan begins communicating through the battery with the sole survivor of the Owen Council. He created the battery, and they made the manhunters to serve and protect because some Green Lanterns were unpredictable. They were supposed to do their bidding, but they turned on them and murdered the others on the council. Howard Jordan is the only Green Lantern now with a fully charged ring. This Guardian asks him to destroy the containment dome and call on the Lanterns to arrive and destroy the central battery to destroy the manhunters. Howard doesn't like this idea because it will kill all the innocent slaves in the mines down below. The Guardian says that it's a sacrifice that they need to make to destroy the manhunters. However, the manhunters shortly arrive, but with one blast, Jordan destroys one of them. He plans to destroy the dome, but is swarmed by manhunters. He shoots into space to save himself. He's running away once again. But he ends up sending a distress signal out, and lanterns everywhere start to receive it. He returns to face the manhunters, not knowing if anybody's going to come and help. But Kilowog arrives, and Jordan discovers that he can make constructs with his ring, and Kilowog goes to charge his ring as well. A manhunter ship fires on Jordan. Just when things look bleak, a multitude of lanterns show up to help destroy the dome. Jordan reveals that there was a plan that they could put a loop into the battery and it would send out a blast, but it would come at the cost of these slaves' lives as well. But there's a physicist that's also a Green Lantern who showed up to help, and he says that he knows how to make a blast that will destroy the manhunters but not kill the others or destroy Oa. So they evacuate the slaves from the planet. They discuss returning the slaves to their homes and organizing to destroy the manhunters. Arisia is put in charge of the Green Lanterns by a vote. Jordan returns Kilowog to his home planet, and then Jordan plans to go get a battery. We discover that the Guardian who talked to Howard Jordan earlier is not the good guy he's made out to be. He says that the Green Lanterns were always too willful, and it's revealed that he's created a new battery and has Yellow Lanterns with him. This definitely sets up a sequel for a Volume 2. So Jordan retrieves the battery from where it was first found in space, and now he ends up returning to Earth. He finds Amy and reveals they have the tools to help do the work needed on Earth. Also, for the fun fact, Gabriel Hardman is actually very accomplished. He partners often with Corinna Bechko, who is his wife. He has drawn for Marvel, including Hulk and also Image Comics. He's received illustrator credits for films like Interstellar, The Dark Knight Rises, Spider-Man 3, Inception, and other films too. He has also written for other IPs such as Planet of the Apes and Star Wars.